Finally.
Good morning. Today is February the 22nd, and we're here for the Personnel Board hearing for Travis Dean. Go around the room and introduce ourselves. Will y'all please introduce yourself?
Sure. Joseph Lynch for Travis Dean. Travis Dean. Okay.
Gazelle Reeves.
Brenda Thompson.
Wayne Lewis.
Joe Winter.
Amy Gifford.
Nancy Jones for the county.
Mike Hoffman, Chief Deputy.
Jennifer Hadley.
Tom Moats, Human Resources Manager.
You gonna have your witnesses all here?
Yes, all but the sheriff are here.
Okay. Have you got witnesses here that need to be sworn in?
I do, ma'am. With some arriving around 11 to coincide with the end of what I believe will be.
If any's here, we'll go ahead and swear them in there,
Okay.
and then we'll swear them in as they come in.
Very well.
That it?
Are those witnesses?
That's it.
This on? Raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you are about to give in this case is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You can go back to the witness room, and we ask that you not discuss this among yourselves.
Sergeant Tatum is my first witness, so he's just going to stay if that's okay.
Pardon?
Sergeant Tatum is going to be my first witness.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
He won't be hearing anything he's not supposed to hear. Are we ready for opening statements? The county goes first.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I want to thank you for your service, as always. We appreciate it very much. I know that you received, as always, a copy of the disciplinary action in this case, and so you have a general idea of what the facts are that led to the termination of Travis Dean. What I want to do just very briefly is sort of tell you what we expect the evidence will show today. Travis Dean was a deputy sheriff. He was hired in June of 2008, became a full-time, or July, I believe, became a full-time deputy in January of 2009. In November of 2011, he had a post-Halloween party at his home. At that time, or prior to that time, he had met a young lady, an 18-year-old girl by the name of Kelly Capps, who worked at the Pearson Family Restaurant in Pearson. And he frequented that restaurant when he worked, because I guess there's not many places to eat up there. So he knew her from the restaurant. They were friends on Facebook, for those of you that are familiar with Facebook. They texted one another. They called each other wifey and hubby. We're not exactly sure what that was about, but they were pretty good friends. He invited Kelly Capps to a party at his home by Facebook invitation, in which he indicated he would be serving alcohol. And she accepted the invitation, and on November the 5th, 2011, she and another friend of hers named Wade Hunter, who was 21 years old, also known by Mr. Dean from the restaurant, and another young lady who was 17 years old at the time, Lindsay Haynes, went to the party at Travis Dean's house. They stayed at the party for about 45 minutes to an hour, and during that time, the evidence will show that Mr. Dean served alcohol to Ms. Capps. He poured a beer into a cup and gave it to her to drink. Ms. Haynes also drank some of the beer while she was there, and they both had Jell-O shots, which, if you're familiar with Jell-O shots, they're made with alcohol, from his refrigerator, and he was present and may have handed them to him. The evidence is a little disputed about that, but he clearly had knowledge that they were consuming alcohol at his premises at a time when he was having a party at his house. The others at the party were friends of his. He was 29 years old at the time. They were friends of his from think, long-term friends, and about the same age. So this young group of kids didn't know anyone else at the party, and as I said, they didn't stay but about 45 minutes to an hour. While they were there and in the garage, which is where the keg was that the beer came from, they observed plastic cups, the red Solo cups, or the Solo cups that people drink and were drinking the beer out of that night, lined up on his Volusia County patrol car in the driveway right in front of the garage. And there were people at the party playing beer pong, which I don't know much about beer pong other than I think you throw a ping pong ball and I don't know if you win or lose if you drink, but at any rate there were, cups of alcohol or what appeared to be cups of alcohol lined up on his patrol car. And the evidence will show that he knew about that. Now he denies it, but the evidence we believe, the credible evidence is that somebody asked him, hey, can we do this? And he said, okay. Subsequent to that, after the party, he knew Kelly Capps' age. He had actually used the Sheriff's Office David system, which is a system that they have from the state, from FTLE, that allows a deputy sheriff or law enforcement officer to run a driver's license of anyone that they're involved in or they come into contact with in an official capacity. But the rules are very clear that you don't use the David system for personal use. In fact, when they pull it up on their computer in their car, there's a screen they have to check a box that acknowledges that they know they're not allowed to use it for personal use. And he freely admitted during the internal investigation that he had run her name for personal use. In fact, he said he ran people all the time for personal use. So we believe that, and that's one of the violations you'll be looking at today, that was clearly established, will be clearly established. After the party, about a month later, Kelly Capps contacted Deputy Dean when he was working one night. It was a Saturday night going into Sunday morning, so it was about 2:55 in the morning on Sunday morning, and she texted him and asked him what he was doing. And at the time, the evidence is undisputed that he was driving to the jail with a prisoner in the back of his patrol car and texting with her. There is a policy against texting while driving. For obvious reasons, it's very, very dangerous. The evidence will show that AVL records were obtained from his car, which showed the speed that he was going at the time, and he was driving in excess of 70 miles an hour while he was texting with Kelly Capps. She told him she'd had a fight with her boyfriend. The boyfriend had left the residence, they were at the boyfriend's house, she didn't live with him, and was looking for a ride home. He was, as I said, driving to the jail, so he wasn't able to give her a ride home, and she ended up apparently getting a ride with someone else. As I said, that was Saturday morning, Saturday night into Sunday morning. On Wednesday night, when Mr. Dean went back to work, he went to the Pearson Family Restaurant and he contacted Kelly Capps. She was working. And he began asking her about the fight she had had with her boyfriend. Now, we are not disputing the issue of the probable, whether or not there was probable cause to arrest her boyfriend. That's not an issue here today. That's not the reason he was terminated. However, we believe that the evidence will show that he violated policies with regards to domestic violence investigations by getting personally involved. He's friends with this girl. He should not have handled it himself. The Sheriff's Office policies say that if you're personally involved with someone, you should have another perfect deputy handle a call because of obvious reasons for conflicts. Now, he did contact his sergeant before he did the paperwork on this domestic violence charge, but the problem is the evidence will show that he didn't tell his sergeant the true nature of his relationship with Ms. Capps. He said they were friends. The sergeant asked him a couple questions, but he did not tell the sergeant that he was Facebook friends with her or that he texted with her regularly or that she had been at his house a month before. And he did not tell the sergeant the true nature of his relationship with her boyfriend at the time, which was contentious to say the least. They'd had several run-ins, and it was Kelly Capps' belief that Deputy Dean had a vendetta, if you will, or that he wanted to arrest her boyfriend just to be, because he didn't like him. The evidence will show that he prepared an affidavit for the arrest of Deputy Dean. You'll hear a little bit of testimony from Sergeant Tatum about domestic violence cases in general and what's required. And for the most part, the state law says if there's a threat of imminent violence or the parties still live together, that an immediate arrest should be made. But the problem in this case is that it was three to 4 days later. She didn't live with him. There was no reason for a physical arrest to have been made of Stephen DeHutt, is the boyfriend's name. But Travis Dean prepared the affidavit and then had 2 other deputies go and arrest Mr. DeHutt for domestic violence. And when he was arrested, what did he say? He said, "I know who did this, Travis Dean, he hates me." So the evidence, the reason that he was terminated, that you have the violations in the letter as always, and What you will hear today is that when he was interviewed for the internal affairs investigation, that he admitted violating the things that he was charged with. He admitted that he had committed a misdemeanor injurious to the department by serving alcohol to these young ladies, and you will hear as well that he was charged criminally by the state attorney's office with with the charge of serving alcohol to minors as well as having an open house party. What that statutorily means is that you have a social gathering at your house where minors are present and you knowingly allow them to either possess or consume alcohol. He was found guilty of that charge, of the open house charge in the criminal arena. Judge Marshall found him guilty. And it's our position that administratively, he clearly violated both of those statutes, so he did commit 2 misdemeanors. He admitted to texting while driving. He admitted to not following the directives of the sheriff's office and handling the domestic violence case, some of the things he didn't put in the report that he was supposed to. He admitted using the David system for things he wasn't supposed to use them for, and he admitted that his conduct reflected poorly on the sheriff's office. So at the conclusion of all the evidence, we're going to ask you to uphold the termination. You will hear from the sheriff that this was very serious because of the number of things that he did wrong in this instance with regards to Kelly Capps and this situation. And we will ask you at the end of the hearing to uphold the termination. Thank you.
You ready?
I'm going to reserve my opening statement for the beginning. I give some sheet now.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll start calling witnesses.
Yes, ma'am. Sergeant Tatum.
Good morning.
You ready?
Yes.
Could you state your name for the record, please?
Thomas E. Tatum.
And how are you employed?
I'm a sergeant with the Volusia County Sheriff's Office
How long have you been employed with the sheriff's office?
since 1998.
What is your current assignment?
Currently assigned to the Internal Affairs Unit, of the Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been in internal affairs, sergeant?
Approximately a year and a half.
Prior to that, what types of duties did you have with the sheriff's office?
When I first started, I was road patrol deputy. From there, I went into the Volusia County Sheriff's Office Traffic Division. After I then went to being an investigator at district level at several different districts to investigate person crimes and property crimes. From there, I went to the major case unit. I was a homicide investigator for close to 4 years. At which point I took the sergeant exam, got promoted to sergeant, was a patrol supervisor for over a year, and then accepted a position with the Internal Affairs Unit.
So safe to say you've had a number of